Alles ist am Eskalieren. Erstmal waren wir mit Marco und, mit Marco, Punkt, in der Kirche und dort haben wir kurz geguckt, ist einer von uns vielleicht Smiley? Aber der Gedanke ist schnell verflogen und wir sind wieder Freunde. Yay. Problem 2 ist, Jasmine wurde leider von Ray erschossen und Ray ist jetzt K.O. Dafür haben wir 2 Waffen, die wir loswerden wollen. Oh, es wird langsam richtig eng hier. Ray's gonna have to live with the fact he's got 2 deaths on his conscience now. I don't have any of that. I'm not going to get any of that weighing me down. I don't like it. I didn't want her to die. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to save someone, but we were in a danger too, and we had nothing. She didn't lunge at him, so... Next station. God, my dear. Shut up, lady. Shit stitch in my ass. Marco shuddered at my works. I deflated into a seat instead, holding my hands and trying to think about how this whole thing happened. How did Ray get the gun anyway? He had a gun, that's right. Where did he get it? I knew where I got mine. What was a safe in the fitness center? Ich meine, Sai muss er von der Station bekommen haben. Das müsste aber auch direkt nach dem ersten Durchgang sein. The safe contained an object that wasn't so safe. That's ironic. However, was it possible Ray gained the gun from the room he explored with Jasmine? No, that wasn't possible. Jasmine would have never let him grab the gun, if that had been the case. The only possibility, other than him taking the gun, while she was distracted, was that he took it between then and the second room. All Ray did after that was threaten a girl, grumble during our drinks, and he also helped A with Marco. When did he ever get it? I took myself out of that daydream and looked around the train. It was still going. We'd already stopped at the pantry, and now we were in the library. That was the first station I explored with Marco earlier. Hey, let's leave here. Any idea? I explained while we stepped outside. Keep guard down here, just in case Ray comes by. I'm gonna find somewhere to hide those things, so that nobody can use them to kill someone else again. This has been too horrible. Okay. Call if anything happens. I looked around the room. I didn't really have anything in mind when I came here. I could put the gun behind some books. There was this clock from earlier. The cupboard. No. Anywhere I looked seemed too easy a place for anyone else to stumble upon simply by snooping around. I had to make up another plan. Perhaps the bins were a good place to hide something. Not inside of them, but there may have been something else I figured out. I tried to lift the one up and... oof, that was very heavy. For some reason, they were strangely bolted to the ground. I couldn't make them turn around very slowly. Perfect. On the ground, I could tell the bottom of the bins didn't quite reach the floor. They had a small elevated space, which was just enough to put an object there. I set the gun down and slid it underneath, then pushed the bin back over it, rotating it around its bolted axis until it was perfectly fitting like before. I set the gun down, also. On the bottom was a perfectly sealed containment area where the gun would now reside. That's amazing. Hey, Marco! Come over here. I found something. I called for Marco. I could hear steps coming up the stairs. Hey, I'm coming, Captain. What's up, huh? I heard him from the staircase. Something surprised him. I realized what that was, but far too late to act. In a moment, our colors were beeping, and a red light came from the back. Wait, what's going on? And just like that, I was beheaded before I even understood what was actually happening. I heard Marco's body fall down the stairs too. It seemed that he got beheaded too. Why? The only thing I could think of was someone else came up with him. But he was alone. What exactly happened? Oh! I didn't have any answers. As I faded, I didn't care one way or another. All I could care about was the darkness coming up on me. Ah, Marco! Du Idiot! Gun Bad Ending. Du hattest... Oh, bist du bescheuert? Ach, okay. Okay, verstehe. Mit den richtigen Endings schalten wir die Loks frei. Mit einem schalten wir das Gelbe frei. Mit 2 schalten wir das Blaue frei. Und so, okay. Marco, du bist dumm. Du hattest Jasmines Collar dabei. das wird trotzdem noch gezählt wahrscheinlich, deswegen. Am Ende deswegen waren 3 Collars in der Station. Und das geht ja nicht, das darf nicht sein. Oh, Marco. You little fool. You complete and utter idiot. You doomed us all. You doomed us all. You little idiot. Flowchart. Okay. Oh, ich habe die rote immer angefangen. Gut zu wissen. Das heißt, hier fängt irgendwann die andere an. Ach, klar. Das ist da, wo ich mit Marco nicht mitgehe. Jetzt kann ich auch die gelbe öffnen. Das kann ich dadurch anscheinend. Dadurch? Ich meine, ich kann auch dadurch auch nicht. Was gucken, und zwar kannte ich nicht das. Ach. Kannte ich nicht das Passwort für den Safe jetzt? Müsste ich doch können, oder nicht? Ich dachte, ich kenne das Passwort, ich müsste es eigentlich kennen. Ich kenne das Log jetzt auch nicht. Ernsthaft? Ich dachte, ich kenne das Passwort. Für... Hallo Emma, ich bitte deinen Kopf. So. Hallo. When I spoke to Ray, things would probably continue. Make sure that I was really went to do right now. Ja, will ich. So, jetzt kommt die Entscheidung. Und ich wollte jetzt mit ihr mitgehen. Okay. After much reflection, or as much as I could give the thought right now, I decided to stick what the old man wanted. It didn't matter anyway, since in their group found the 9th person, Marco wouldn't leave without me. I guess I'd take the next station with E. You two can leave at this one. Take care of her, yeah? Mama. Of course I would. I wasn't some kind of creeper maniac. I gave a half-hearted wave as they disembarked, but neither noticed me. The two of them disappeared beyond the doorframe. Doom, doom, doom. Then we were off again. I wondered what we'd find once we were at the station. I knew it was a theater, but I didn't know what it meant. Every time I thought about those stations, I always wondered why. How? Once more, there was no theater readily in the open through any of the stairs leading up from the station. Those stairs normally took us to the gates, which we went through by using a metro pass. They didn't lead us to random rooms like these. What are you up to, Smiley? The rhetorical question received no answer, and finally we landed at the station. The blind girl and I were to leave at. I prepared myself to use the pens. I didn't need them for this first part, since the girl followed as soon as I grabbed her hand. Yeah, normally hand-holding could be a lot more embarrassing if you were like 16 years old. Obviously, I was not old. This didn't faze me. Whoa! The train left before I even thought about making it to the doorframe. That was fast. Normally they wait until we're inside. Maybe that's because it's the last station. Something seemed wrong with the two sides. I couldn't put my finger on what, but there was something that didn't quite match how I believed things should have been. Maybe it was just a bad feeling, or maybe it was just my imagination. It was very active, and sometimes I always imagining worst case scenarios. Bah. Finally, I made my way to the staircase. With E and Tao, it didn't take long for us to ascend to the theater. The door closed behind us with a soft sliding noise, but I didn't pay attention to it. By now, I knew how this place operated. None of this was surprising me. Getting up the stairs was harder than anticipated. E's blindness made it very difficult. Normally, Blind people still had their ears to guide them, but someone who was blind and deaf, they didn't have anything but physical contact to guide them, right? Maybe changes in temperature too. Either way, once we arrived there, I took in the sight with my eyes, as I was not blind. It definitely was a strange scene straight out of the horror manga. It was a miniature theater. The seats were full. Tons and tons of robots lined up, immobile, facing towards the stage. Some of them had half fallen over. Many of them were amputees. I approached one and examined it closely. Eep! Watch out! I almost fell! I was about to excuse myself, but I refrained from it. Instead, I helped her to a seat on the front row before I went back to examine the robot. As usual, she wouldn't be much help either. I observed the tin can for a bit, but there was no movement, no recognition of its base. It was turned offline, if it even worked at all. Huh. Fake robot people, huh? I guess it does look kind of disconcerting at first. I wrote onto a piece of paper to inform E of the situation. While she read it, I pushed onto one of the robots to test its weight. Maybe they actually were just empty shells. Nope, it was somewhat heavy. Tons of cogs and wiring were on the inside, probably. A theater, correct? Somehow, that doesn't sound too reassuring. Don't you have that same feeling too? I did. Everything in this room felt strange. My steps brought me closer to the table set on the stage. It was the thing that stood out the most. Oh, and it was a box with a piece of paper. It had nothing written on it, but I could faintly make out some markings. Also, it wasn't completely flat to the surface of the table. Something was under it. I flipped the sheet over, thinking nothing of it. Almost instantly, some stock applause noise came from the crowd. I recognized the sound as being stock, since it was like one of those odd sitcoms. I didn't know why they applauded, though. A screen at the back of the area lit up with a few numbers. First, it had shown 10. 10:00, also 10 Uhr, but soon it rolled down to 9. Oh, it's a countdown! It was a countdown! Huh? What does that mean? I quickly read the paper over while disregarding the object under it. I will get it momentarily, but first I needed to understand what I had unwittingly triggered. 10 minutes to make a choice, determining everyone's survival. Sacrifice me or use me to leave. The former lets you both live. The latter will damn your partner. If time's up, all will die. All will die? What does that mean? Us both or everyone? I set the paper aside. My questions found no answer. Looking at the table, I saw a key with a loop that loosely resembled the number 9. Is this the number 9 we're looking for? Wasn't the person? How do I sacrifice it? Using it will just... It took a glance over the E. Still sitting quiet, unaware of the situation. This was what we searched for, but it would damn her. No, it would kill her. I refused to mind its words. Desperate for help, no matter the form it took, I shoved the head into my jacket. There I found my cap and I hesitantly put it on. I hated wearing it, but maybe this would help me find a way out of this mess somehow. There has to be some other way. I need to seek a way out. Oh boy, 10 Minuten. Das ist ein Countdown. A lot of useful stuff was back there. However, when I said useful, I meant useful in general, not useful for me right now at this very moment. Still, there was a letter. Even if the time was running out, I could maybe go check out that door in the back of the entrance side with it. 8 minutes remained. Each time I searched something, I lost around 2 minutes of time. Once I would near 0, I would probably have to pick something in a hurry unless I found how to leave. Ja, ich weiß. Hi. Na, Emma, wie geht's dir? Müde. I grabbed the ladder and it automatically became a part of my inventory. I couldn't stuff it down my pockets, but I could carry it over anywhere else in the immediate. How did the boy with the green tunic do it anyway? Didn't he carry an entire raft and a grappling hook and a sword, a shield, bombs, arrows, a bow, and so much more? I really need some kind of bag of holding to carry all of this with. Since it was so cumbersome, if I dropped by the side again, I'd leave it here. Whether I was done using it or changing my mind about it didn't matter. Okay. I closed my hands and fists powerless. Still no signs of a real way out of the place. I couldn't get up there even if I wanted to. There was one of those robot people there. No staircase led there, though. The only way to get there was through the door in the back. Fortunately, there was no staircase leading up there, either from the hallway or from within the rooms. This is inaccessible. I don't understand. I should come back with something that can help me get up there. Ich hab die... Hä? Ich hab eine Leiter. Well, over half my time was gone, and as it ticked down, I started despairing. Was there really no way to avoid this whole dilemma? Usually, when you were presented with two options, there was always a third, more hopeful one, no? Even if we had to make it ourselves. I had to keep looking around. I need to find that third option. Oh, ich muss ihn nehmen. Oh! This is junk. We placed the ladder back there. I could definitely tell the rest of the stuff was used for magic shows. The objects didn't lie. There was nothing that could be useful to me otherwise. Nicht was soll's. Damn it. Something, anything. I really needed to find it. No matter what it was. A door, a secret passage. Please, I need a way out. I didn't care even if it was an ass-pull solution. Oh god, please save E and me. There was the desk on stage, with a box, in which I could discard the key, and the paper telling me to do it. Nothing else was underneath it. If this was used in, say, a magic show, I thought perhaps there might have been a trapdoor for disappearing acts. However, there was none of the say here. It was all solid. A normal theater then. If only there had been a way out there, I could have pulled my own disappearing act and vanished from this place. If I didn't figure out something, anything, I'd vanish from the world. Shit, I can't do it. My will is not strong enough. That was it. There was barely any time left. I had to pick now. The timer was ticking down. I had to pick now. The only option I believed was fine was this one. I couldn't abandon E. I could never do that. As much as I want to leave, as much as I want to escape this nightmare, she was stuck in it as much as I was. Not to mention, sacrificing someone else for my own gain. That wouldn't win. That's a strange game. The victory conditions were absurd to begin with. But I didn't have the time to think about that yet. Right now, I had to focus on the issue at hand. The timer was almost up. The 10 minutes would soon have passed if I did nothing. And soon, I took the key with a clear conscience and pushed it down into the box. When it fell to the bottom, the hole closed and a small green light lit up on the back, signaling it had reached a choice. Applause was from the crowd of robots again. Of course, they were the same stock sounds as earlier, and they didn't really come from actual people. Congratulations, me on doing the right thing. Despite that, it felt like they were telling me I took the right path. That now, everything would be fine. The screen lit up on the back of the room behind the desk. One glance at it made it obvious. Smiley was supposed to show up at this part. Was he going to congratulate me? By evaluating the life of someone else over your own, you won. You managed to expose yourself to this, which is utterly commendable. But you did not win the dating game. You may believe this to be unfair, but betrayal is part of life as well. It is not betrayal for me, however. You have betrayed yourself. Still, perhaps in a corner of your mind you believe this to be acceptable. Once again, it is utterly commendable, and yet the play is over. You may applaud as you will. Now spend eternity within the cage of your own making. I do hope you have given your due farewells to your friends beforehand. I took his hand into my own while he spoke, until I realized he was done. In fact, he wasn't on the screen anymore. It had become pitch black once again. He was smiling, as though she understood the predicament I'd been in before. Whether that was the case, I couldn't know. Maybe she sensed my unease in here. Some of Smiley's words were indeed weighing down on me, though. He spoke of a cage of my own making. I tested theory. I walked towards the door in the back of the room, behind the desk. He was constantly following along, still without a care in the world. How could Smiley think I'd sacrifice her? My other hand closed up on the handle. It turned, and just like I figured, it was locked. Now that I had thrown the key away, there was no opening this. Still, I had to try. I rammed my body into it. I gave up very quickly. This only made me dizzy. Just like we confirmed much earlier at Ray's demand, I could now also confirm even the doors leading outside from each station were impossible to bust through. Only one thing to do then. I'd leave the station and bring E back to the others, so that we could continue our escape attempts. Once again, I led E with my hands. I navigated my back to the staircase. I went down and oh, this door didn't have any sort of doorknob, that's right. The only way to open it was with the code. I didn't have any code though. I was slowly becoming more and more frustrated with the moment. Was there something I overlooked? I went back upstairs with E, taking a quick glance in the bathroom at the end of the hall before entering the theater again. I did the right thing. I was sure of it, and not even Smiley could make me budge on that stance. Yet the door was completely closed now. The lock was still there, and I had no way to undo it. The key was already used up. There was only one door back, strangely enough. Normally, each station covered the entire room overhead, right? So you could go down both sides, but this one only had one door. Only one accessible side. I had no idea what this meant exactly. Is there something wrong? I considered how I should tackle the problem with E. Clearly we weren't going anywhere anytime soon. But since this was the end of the line, I thought perhaps someone might stumble up onto the station and help us from outside if I wait long enough. Or maybe there was a secret passage. I wrote a message to E. I was going to search around a little further. E beamed at me, deciding to leave in my hands as she was of no use otherwise. I'll stick around then. We've got some comfortable seats here. I left her in one of the theater rows, in a spot empty of robots. At least she wouldn't have to sit around these strange, uncanny machines. I touched the walls. I believe maybe there was a secret passage somewhere that could lead down to the station, onto the other side. And yet, my search was fruitless. There had to be something to do, somewhere to go to. I searched for something. I didn't know what that something was, but I figured it would be a better use of my time than waiting without doing anything. Yet there was nothing. Nothing. It was right. Nothing. I gained nothing from this, and I lost nothing, and nothing happened. It was, in essence, not even my choice. When I was given the key to leave this place, it wasn't just the key to leave this entire subway train system. It was a key to leave this very station too. Perhaps there was no way out. I still had to seek a way out, though. I couldn't stand doing nothing. I sort of knew what happened to people who were in total isolation. They went completely insane after a while, already having hallucinations after a few days at best. Inactions would just at any moment rob me of my sanity. If I was alone, it would be worse. But I was alone, was I? I took a glance back at E. She was here. Since there was nothing I could do in this room, perhaps she could be my anchor. A part of me thought I shouldn't become too attached, though. Before that thought was made manifest, I already had begun walking towards her. It was a silly notion anyway. If I left her alone, she'd go crazy too, especially due to her circumstances. I wrote a message to E after sitting down with her. I told her every event that had happened here. She looked a little concerned, and she had every right to be. I really wonder, how did we even end up in here? It doesn't matter, I guess, as long as we're still alive. I agreed with her. I was still alive, and I just had to think. But her hand in mine made it increasingly hard to do so. Something flashed within my head. This game was called the dating era, right? So perhaps I should treat this as a date? There was no movie playing in the theater, but she and I could do something else to divert ourselves. I wrote it on another paper. Strangely enough, she looked very happy. You know, even though we're stuck here, I think that's fine for me. Do you agree? I agreed. I read it in my paper so I could communicate with her. Aww! The next minutes we spent a while going back and forth to plan out some sort of game we could play. We enjoyed that for a while. The both of us had to accept our fates. We were at the mercy of the others finding this place anyway. We waited for dozens of minutes. Half an hour went by. A whole hour passed by us. 2 hours eventually elapsed. By the time the 5-hour mark came by, I wasn't even thinking about escaping anymore. She and I both were enjoying each other's company. No, nothing gross. Just wholesome pastimes. We played some games. Hunger? There was none. I wasn't even thirsty. We discussed things of all kinds. Escape? That didn't matter. I didn't even care. Perhaps this was all that was important. If my friends couldn't find me, if no one came to help, if nothing else happened, then we would help each other remain sane. This room was a world of our own making. You may think it to be only make-believe, but for us it was real. After a longer time had passed, I still believed this was really all I needed. Everything was right as it should have been. She and I were both happy, together like this. Her disabilities weren't even on my mind anymore. Escaping wasn't on my mind anymore. Smiley wasn't on my mind anymore. Everything was right as it should have been. Who was Jasmine again? Marco? Ray? A? Twins? I didn't really think about them. There was only E. Everything was alright. As it should have been. Darkness would be coming for me soon. But I didn't care. Everything was right. As it should have been. Deep inside, a malignant darkness was growing. As if I remembered, I should have been doing something, yet still wasn't doing it. It was eating at the back of my head, like an indescribable horror festering among those happy thoughts. And yet, I laughed with E, as we both remained trapped together. As the darkness came, I screamed. Internally. Quietly. Eternally. Hooray! I guess. I guess. We did it. We did something. Or... I guess. We did some things. That went well. Das lief doch super. Es gibt ein Escape wahrscheinlich hier, ja, ich würde sagen. Es gibt wahrscheinlich ein Escape. Ich muss nur finden. Okay. Was haben wir bisher gemacht? Wir haben die Leiter gesehen, wir haben den Tisch geguckt, wir haben das Oma angeguckt, wir haben... That was the entrance. I came in from there. Past this was just a hallway leading to bathrooms and then back downstairs. However, there was only one staircase leading down. Damn it! I should have checked the map more closely. I could have seen this obvious setup. This was a trap. There was only one way back out, the way E and I just came from. I shook my head, focusing on the searching in this room instead. Nowhere to go but up from here. 8 minutes remained. Okay, that's okay. All of these robots were creeping me out. I tried lifting one, but it was far too heavy for me. If anything is happening, don't be afraid to share it with me. Yeah, I couldn't do that. She probably realized something was amiss because I tried to lift the robot not too far from her. Either way, the timer was ticking down. I was quickly running out of things to search. 6 minutes. What pretty yet simple lights those were. They were like half balls and... Wait, shit, the search! I couldn't get caught up by something stupid like that. Those lights wouldn't guide me out of my predicament. Okay. Those were show lights, I thought. I never really went to a real theater, so I couldn't say. The point was, they wouldn't be in any way helpful to me, and I wasted some time. It was yet limited, and I had to do something more productive with it. This box was strange. It was solid metal, and it had a slot on the top. I could drop the key in there. What? This is what it meant by sacrifice then. If I drop it there, it'll count as saving everyone's lives. I swallowed. If I did this, I might be losing my only chance of escaping this place. The alternative wasn't amazing either. Was this choice meant to make us fight for it? If I had been in a team with someone who knew what was happening, surely things would be fair different. But the choice was up to me. Shit, this is again okay. Okay, jetzt wäre das hier. Ich mag das Endbild irgendwie von ihr. Das ist an sich ein sehr, sehr süßes Endbild. Mit dem, oh, wir lachen ein bisschen, haha, lustig, wir haben Spaß, ja! Ich bin ein Fan von diesem Endbild. Sie sehen fröhlich aus. Und das ist gut. Ich gönne die Freude. Ist die voll? Nö. Die Flasche ist leer. Na gut. Okay, wir haben noch das hier. This is what I can use the key on, but doing it won't... I refuse to think about it again. However, if I use this door, it would definitely happen. I just need to stay my resolve if this was my selfish choice. There had to be another way out of this mess, wasn't there? Okay. I couldn't talk to her. I couldn't tell her. I knew I should have asked for her input too, but this was too... It was too... I didn't know what, but it was too much something. Information could be like a curse, right? There exist information hazards, where simply knowing something would cause you harm. This was one of those. I wanted to ask her, but I really couldn't afford it. The pain of this choice wasn't hers to bear. That's right, it wasn't hers to bear. It also wasn't my pain to bear either. Neither of us nor anyone else in this place should have to handle this whole situation in the first place. I clenched my teeth in disgust. This place was horrible. The timer was counting down still. I could see it. This was a choice between a living person and leaving this place. This place was horrible, but leaving it would be horrible too. What a dilemma. The more I thought about it, the more it made sense not to use the key to leave. Where there was life, there was hope. All this thinking had taken its toll on the time I had left. Soon, there was almost none of it. I held my hand in my hands, squeezing it tightly. Damn it! Damn it all! What could I have done? The more I tried to get back to the search, the more I decided to sacrifice. E wasn't something I wanted to do. I didn't have a choice then. The time was ticking down. To pick now. The only option I believe was fine was this one. Okay. Oh, spannend. Also, wenn ich I klicke, I ist ein direktes Game Over. Weil I ist direkt aus. Du kannst nicht weitermachen. weil der Charakter einfach zu sehr daran hängt, sie am Leben zu überlassen. Das ist spannend. Das heißt, mit ihr zu reden wäre komplett falsch am Anfang schon. Aber ich habe doch nicht mehr so viele Sachen zu tun, oder? Hier habe ich alles. Dann muss ich das hier machen. Und kann dadurch nichts Neues machen. Ah. My ladder wasn't tall enough to reach those lamps. I tried, but without a wall, it couldn't stay proper up either. It wasn't a step ladder. The main difference between them was that step ladders could stay supported even without a wall. Even if it would have been one, though I thought the row of seats would get in the way, or it wouldn't be tall enough. Now if it had been a platform ladder, at least I would have maintained my balance better than those steps. Yet, without something better like stairs or scaffold, I wouldn't get up there. So much for all of that. Shit, das ist, I can't do, okay. Okay. Ich kann noch woanders hin. Vielleicht kann ich ja mit ihr reden darüber. Okay. Ich habe eine Idee, was ich machen könnte, vielleicht. Die Leiter nehmen und dann da oben hin. Das könnte klappen, vielleicht. Mal gucken. Dann muss ich erstmal die Leiter anklicken und nochmal die Leiter anklicken, was dumm ist. Leiter anklicken. Leiter anklicken. Da oben war ich schon. Da. I found a ladder, so I used it to reach this balcony. By putting the ladder at the very top of the rows of seats, I could reach up there and sneak over the railing. I quickly went over to the door to try and see if it would open. However, the handles didn't budge. In fact, the door didn't even move either when I pulled. It didn't look locked. It looked like it wasn't a door. Before any smartass decided to ask if I pushed on the door too, I did. And the result was the same. After another long look around, I realized the door wasn't leading anywhere. On the other hand side of the wall was nothing but empty air. The hallway outside was very tall, and the corresponding spot there was nothing but a wall. It was only looking like it led anywhere then. This was a complete waste of my very limited time. Sicher? Ich habe nicht mehr viel Auswahl, deswegen. Ich denke mal, die einzige Wahl, die ich noch habe, ist die... Das sind noch 12%. 22%, da muss noch mehr sein. Das heißt, ich muss 80 Mal auf die Hand drücken. Was ziemlich traurig wäre eigentlich. Aber es ist das Einzige, was bleibt, glaube ich. Ich guck mal, was passiert. Okay? Ich guck mal, ob ich da 8 Mal draufklicken muss. Oder 5 Mal draufklicken muss, bis er sagt, okay, ich mach's jetzt. Einmal. I believe I would. I tried to fight it off with all my strength. Using this key would do something horrible. I still thought perhaps there might have been another way out. I decided to hold off for the point in time. Maybe. If I came back to it once more, maybe then I would do it. Maybe then I would turn into a complete monster. Ich muss echt so aufmachen. You really want me to do that? I asked no one in particular. My body was like mush. Well, if that was God's will, there was nothing I could do about it. But in this situation, did I really have a choice? The bell was ticking down. I had to pick now. The only option I believed in was fine was this one. This was it. I really was going to do it. I had no justification for this. No. That was incorrect. I had one. It was the idea that if I didn't do this, then I might end up trapped here. Then all of our search would have been useless. I would give it to her and allow her out, but I didn't want to die. She wasn't in a state where she might do it either. If I shared this information with her, I didn't think she would do it. She'd probably get scared of it, and then I would lose all the confidence I built up for this. Besides, if I didn't tell her, if she was left in the dark, if she was smiling the entire way, if she didn't know, wasn't some kind of mercy too? I knew I was horrible for deciding this. I didn't need to be told. I slapped my cheeks and groaned in disbelief. Was this really what this place reduced me to? If I don't do this without thinking about it, then I never will. Ah, there! I inserted the key. I stopped thinking about it and finally twisted into the lock. That opened. It wasn't the only thing that opened. With a sickening loud buzzing, East Collar activated. Creating the cauterizing laser we were told about. I did the worst thing imaginable for myself. I turned around in my stupidity. No! I didn't want to think about it. I didn't want to see it. Then why? The grim sight of E's head falling down etched itself into my head, and I could do nothing but freeze. More applause came from the speakers around the room. They were congratulating me for killing her. I felt unbelievably sick. I vomited right then and there. I hunched over, fell to the ground, and just let it all out. The more I looked at her, the more I wanted to scream and run away, but the more I felt nauseous. I had to do something. I was slowly turning insane. This was enough to trigger so many negative emotions inside my head. I thought I was turning completely insane. I approached the body. I didn't want to, but I had to. Something in me just felt bad. It was all his fault. It was all Smiley's fault. The neck was charred, fuming from the intense cooking of the laser. No! I didn't want to see, but I did. But I did. And I wanted to bring her out too. You're fine, huh? I knew she wasn't. But I denied reality. I grabbed the body and pulled it with me. I grabbed the head and carried it with me. I didn't know what I was doing anymore. Maybe deep in my head, there was some kind of twisted way to apologize to her. Maybe if I did this, then she would leave too. I carried the corpse with me as I left the room through the door. Beyond was a scanner. I stepped through, uncaring of what would happen. Surprisingly, it didn't trigger. Perhaps the key I used really was the way out then. The headless marionette with me was the result of my actions. I brought her through the darkness. After stepping forward felt like minutes in a very slow zombie waltz, I stumbled upon the elevator. Numerous buttons. Numerous floors. From -1 to -28, the numbers covered all of them. All negative floors. Negative. Losses. The loss of E. I pressed the button labeled 0 at the very bottom and swallowed, stopping myself from feeling nauseous again. I wasn't looking at the body following me. It came with me. I didn't even carry it. Nope, none of it. It was me. It was following me like a zombie. Maybe I was a zombie too. In that moment, I thought about my predicament. Why exactly had I chosen to unlock the door, knowing full well what would happen? Why exactly had my hands gone for the lock? Perhaps it was because there needed to be the choice I wouldn't have normally made. It was a little fastidious, but I recalled in this very moment something called the many worlds interpretation of the flow of time. Perhaps the only way I could cope with the whole situation was by remembering something dumb like this. According to that, time flowed forward until someone had a choice to make. Each option of a choice would then split time into 2 timelines. One in which the first option was selected, and one in which the second was chosen instead. Since I had a choice between using the key and discarding the key, maybe this was just the timeline in which I used the key. In that case, there would be another me out there, in another universe, who didn't use the key. Was he happier? Why couldn't it have been this version of me? As I held my head in my hands, I contemplated the idea that I was perhaps left in the worst possible outcome. I was leaving this place, but not in a humane way. The person who was using the elevator was no longer a person, or even human anymore. They were a monster. I was a monster. A ding took me out of my nightmares thoughts. I left the elevator, no longer carrying anything. I was never carrying anything. The body came on its own, as I said. E's body was haunting me. I didn't know what was real. I didn't know what was lie. I didn't even realize where I was going for the longest time past that point. As I walked out of another staircase, I found myself above ground. The building had seen better days. However, I noticed nothing of that. It's like I couldn't even see anymore. It was as if there was only darkness before me. I stepped outside. The sun would greet me momentarily, and then I could go back without Marco, without Jasmine, without E. What? I laughed as I saw the state of the outside world. Blinding for a moment, the sight greeted me. I was at a station at the top of the mountain, right in the middle of Montreal. Montreal itself was degradation, desolation, destruction. Everything was destroyed. The sky was completely red. Small clouds flew overhead, but I couldn't tell if there was any sunlight. Chirping birds sang their sorrowful tune as cats and dogs roamed the streets. Tons of bones were lying around. Tons of bones were lying around. Human bones. I could see corpses here and there, scattered around. Not a single soul was alive. It's all fucking destroyed. End of the world. Why am I not surprised? This is a nightmare after all. I'm gonna wake up any minute now. I wandered through the streets, laughing like a maniac. I'd gone insane. I could recognize that fact. I wasn't really insane, but it was easier for me to cope with it if I kept repeating it to myself that I was insane. If I kept acting like I was a mental case. Or perhaps this vision of the outside world was brought by each death. Maybe I was substituting the shitty future I was seeing now as a result of my own actions. Like I was in purgatory or something. This is what you died for. A fucking ruined world. With war, time, a catastrophe. Who fucking cares, right? I laughed in the face of emptiness. Like a zombie, I walked around. Half alive. Not even all there anymore. That was me. A total shell of myself. An asshole. A selfish asshole. I wandered without a goal for a while. A little beeping from my collar pulled me out of my daze. Huh? What? Are you shitting me? The collar activated and soon it took its quarry. Just as I beheaded E, it beheaded me. This was entirely justified. I'd killed her only to emerge into this fucked up world. Killed. That word was funny. 6 letters. The middle was L. The middle was L. The letter L was in the middle. 5 letter long. The middle was L. No, killed had 6 letters, not 5. But for some reason, I was thinking about a word with 5 letters. Not a word, no. Close to a word, but not a word. 5 letters. Middle was L. Why did I think that just now? My mind was shutting down. This was most likely some kind of chemical reaction related to death. I couldn't even see anything anymore. I couldn't think anymore. I couldn't think about E's death anymore. Liberation finally came, even if I was unworthy of it. Just like that, in the middle of a ruined Montreal, I expired. My headless body fell in the ruins, and everything went completely dark. Ending D, Escape, Good End. Aha, Good End. I see. Ja. Das ist ein tolles, gutes Ende. Ich sterbe. Yay. Was? Wo ist das ein Good End? The hell? Excuse me? Aber hey, wir haben noch ein Good Ending. Wir wissen, L is in the middle. Okay, das heißt aber auch, wir haben jetzt 2 Buchstaben schon. Ich glaube, ich habe einen Zettel irgendwo hier. Ja. Wir haben ein L in der Mitte und dahinter ist ein Y. L-Y. L-Y? Strich, Strich, L-I, Strich. Also E, Strich, Strich, L-Y, Strich. Ah. Welches Wort kann das sein? Es ist kein Wort. Es war nah dran am Wort. Er meinte, not a word, but close to a word. Also es ist nicht kein richtiges Wort. Es ist wahrscheinlich ein Name? würde ich denken. Ich kann mir vorstellen, dass das ein Name ist. Smile and shine, once again. Welcher Name ist die Frage? So, Flowchart. Genau, wir haben jetzt das L und das Y, genau. Und L ist in der Mitte. Ich denke mal, wir kriegen... Warte, das ist jetzt offen. Und ich glaube, wenn das aufgeht, können wir woanders weiter. Wir müssen da noch weiter. Okay. L und... spannend. Ich gehe mal kurz auf die CGs. Extras, genau. Wir haben ziemlich viel CG-Art geholt bisher. Oh ja, haben wir wirklich. Wir haben das und die vorne dahinter. Und die andere Version davon. Jasmine, wo sie durchdreht. Wir haben ihn. Wir haben Is mit den Augen. Und Is rangezoomte Version mit den Augen. Wir haben Ray, wie er Age entführt. Wir haben mich draußen. Mich nochmal draußen. Und mich ganz draußen. Simon, wo er... Ich weiß gar nicht, was da passiert. Ist das da, wo er sieht wie H oder so? Ach, das ist da, wo er die Pots öffnet. Ja. Das ist da, wo er die Pots öffnet und sieht, dass da Klone drin sind. Da haben wir das mit A, mit dem Schussduell. Und da haben wir die Version, wo wir von einem der Zwillinge rausgeschmissen überfahren werden, vom Zug. Ich mag die Hut mit den Zöpfen, der ist süß. Und da haben wir uns im Kino, im Theater mit I, nachdem wir den Schlüssel weggeschmissen haben. Und jetzt auch kurz die Charaktere mal angucken. Und zwar, genau, Greta, Hannah. Ach, Hannah hat die Augen, stimmt, Hannah hat die Augen anders, stimmt ja. Wir haben ein paar Wörter hier. Und wir haben schon eine Menge sogar. Okay, gut. Ich danke euch fürs Gucken dieses extrem langen Parts. Es hat sich aber gelohnt, weil ich fand, das Ende war richtig cool. Und es klingt selbstlieberisch, aber ich fand, mein Voice-Acting war gar nicht so schlecht am Ende. Naja, wir können mir sagen, ob es gut oder schlecht fandet. Von daher, bis nächstes Mal dann. Bye!